Madam President, do I have your permission to commence this second edition of Presidential Media Chat? All right, thank you, ma. Madam President, the National Executive Committee members in the House, the distinguished fellow of our great society, I want to welcome you to the second edition of the Presidential Media Chat this evening. And we are going to start with opening prayer, making use of the second stanza of our national anthem as the opening prayer. 1, 2, go. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and live in just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Amen. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Madam President, the Deputy President, Vice President in the House, National Executive Committee members, Branch Chairman, Division National Chairman, our respected fellows, past Presidents in the House, distinguished engineers. I am Engineer Olumayo Waido, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and also Chairman FNSE Programs, Branding, Publicity and Media Relations. By the grace of God, and with the permission of the leadership of this great society, I'll be your moderator for today's event, which is the second edition of the FNSE Presidential Online Chat. It is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to the second edition of online FNSE Presidential Media Chats. As the moderator for today's session, I am excited to facilitate an engaging discussion that will shed more light on the current affairs of our esteemed society, especially in the second quarter of the year. We had the first session some months ago. Today's session holds significant importance as it provides us with opportunity to hear directly from the President and Chairman in Council of our great society, who has deemed it fit and essential to engage us, all the members of our great society, as stakeholders of the society, to provide us with updates on the progress made thus far, and to also outline future plans of our society, future plans and initiatives for society. As we embark on this session, I want you to keep in mind the main mission, which is to rebut FNSE for the growth, empowerment, and advancement of engineering in Nigeria. So I want to enjoy you to actively participate in this presidential media online chat. Share, let's work together towards achieving our collective goals. Without wasting much of our time, I want to invite the President of our great society to address us and provide us valuable insights into the states of affairs of our society. And please, I want you to join me in welcoming to this virtual floor the President of our great society, the Chairman in Council, a multi-talented and distinguished individual, a woman of remarkable substance, whose accomplishments have gathered recognition across length and breadth of this country. Our President is not only an unparalleled leader, but also a trailblazer in the field of engineering. You all agree with me that under our visionary leadership, our society is undergoing a transformative journey, which is aimed at rebutting the FNSE for the growth, empowerment, and advancement of engineering in Nigeria. With her dedication and strategic vision, she continues to inspire all of us to reach greater heights and to contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. Please join me once again in welcoming to the virtual floor the president of our great society, Engineer Margaret Aina Oguntala, FNSE.
I'm glad to report to you that the society has witnessed remarkable progress under my leadership and with your support. Now, I just take a few areas and allow contributions so we can make the session as interactive as possible. In terms of membership development, which is one of the pillars of the strategic agenda that was unveiled at my investiture, we have gone on a massive membership drive, particularly with corporate firm members. And we have so far engaged a number of companies everywhere that we go, talk about corporate firm membership, encouraging firms and corporate organizations to join the Nigerian Society of Engineers as entities. We have also improved on uh, drive for professional development, encouraging members to participate in training. And we did not leave our staff behind. We have also sent some of our staff on various training and so on. And just for training, the planned training with the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board has not started yet. And I must say that the problem is more political than NSE. We have done all that we need to do. Just last week, or yes, no, 2 weeks ago, at the Nigeria Oil and Gas Energy Week, I still had a chat with the executive secretary of the NCDMB, and he assured me that we will start the training very soon. I'm also glad to report that he openly announced during his remarks, or in fact, his presentation, that the board plans to train young engineers. So that means they are still aligned with our vision, and it's just a matter of time, and the training will start. And talk of training, in May, I was privileged to participate in the Offshore Technology Conference sponsored by the NCDMB. The NCDMB sponsored two of us, myself and a vice president, on that conference. And that conference, as it were, has opened a lot more doors for us. And I'll tell you why. At the conference, we did not, for the first time, Nigerian Society of Engineers was not just a participant there. We also had a place at the table. I was the presenter. I was one of the discussants at one of the panels, and that was the first for us. And it also means that we are being recognized more now. And I took very good advantage of that conference to do a lot of networking, which I always preach, and seeking collaborations and partnerships. And one of the outcomes, one of the fallouts of that conference, of my attendance at the conference, is something that's just occurred to us now. And I was going to save it for later, but I'll mention it now because I got to meet a number of people, industries, and particularly the players in the oil and gas. And I was able to have a chat with the president of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists. So just last week, in fact, it was this week, on Monday this week, we had a session with the lawmakers, with the National Assembly, here in Abuja, discussing ways of deepening the regulatory frameworks within the oil and gas industry. And that's something that I believe would eventually pay off, not just for our members, but for the development of Nigeria. Again, my attendance at the Nigeria Oil and Gas Energy Week is a fallout of my attendance of the OTC. because the contacts were made at the OTC. So that shows that one contact alone can birth so many more. And we also struck a relationship with a company, Lee Engineering Nigeria Limited, which is like a global company in terms of delivery of services on oil and gas, in oil and gas, and we secured the partnership for our conference. So we got them to sponsor the opening ceremony of our conference. That's a huge one. And we're also in talks with them to register those of the engineering staff who are not members of NSE, which is part of our membership drive. Um, in terms of collaborations, we have done a lot of work. Since our last interaction, since our last interaction, we have had the opportunity of paying courtesy visits in our drive for collaboration to the Honorable Minister of Education and Honorable Minister of Agriculture. We also paid a courtesy visit to Seplat Energy, and the outcomes are huge because with the Ministry of Agri, we got the commitment of the minister to own the conference because, as you would know, as I'm sure that you know and you will recall, the theme of this year's international conference is engineering solutions to food security and climate change, and that's just like lifting the name of the ministry. So the honorable minister has agreed to partner with us on that conference. Uh, he has directed the PS to give us some members, I mean, some of the staff, and we asked for top functionaries, top officials. So he has directed that we have three of the directors on the on the conference planning committee to work with us. He agreed to, of course, uh, sponsor the conference and also give the keynote address. We're with the education minister who agreed us also to partner with us on our drive for pivot and improved education, curricula in the tertiary institutions. Um, one of our one of our visits to some of these our partners also got us the sponsorship of conference bags, by Total Energies, one of our strategic partners. So, these are some of the things that we have done. And again, with Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, we are planning an engineering innovation competition amongst tertiary institutions. So, very soon, a lot is going to be happening, much more than we even think about. And just today, we paid a visit to Partner Holdings, one of our strategic partners, to request that they partner with us on the Young Engineers Program of the international conference. And of course, again, I'm happy to report that that visit was fruitful. So let me just stop there and let's begin to chat, so that issues that you have or comments, contributions as usual will be raised and we'll address them, and then we'll make the session as interactive as possible. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam President, for the update so far. Thank you for outlining future plans and initiatives of society. We thank you for the wonderful statements on the affairs of society. I believe you will agree with me that we are moving forward as NSE. Madam President has provided updates on membership drive, training of secretariat staff. She also gave us updates on the training of engineers by Nigerian Content Management Development Board. And most of our collaboration drive with some of the MDAs we have in our country, and even Seplat, Total Energy, and so on and so forth. So, Madam President, thank you for giving us a wonderful statement on the affairs of the society. You agree with me that we are moving forward, like I said earlier on, and I strongly believe that we shall reach greater heights as a society and contribute meaningfully to the development of our nation. Right now, I will go to the next on our agenda, which is interactive session. So if you have any question or any addition or maybe any input suggestion, you can please signify by raising up your virtual hand. So we can call you, and please, I want to appeal that you make it as short as possible. We have a lot of members online that really want to share one or two things with Madam President. So I want to appeal to you that you please make it as short as possible so that we can be able to call as many members as we have. So I would like to start with Engineer Dr. Yetunde Aladeitan, FNSE. Engineer Dr. Yetunde Aladeitan, FNSE. Engineer Dr. Yetunde Aladeitan, FNSE. Can you unmute yourself? You can unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much. I've been trying to unmute myself, but apparently I've just been given the permission from the host. Good evening, Madam President, and all senior members on the call. Permit me to rest on the very well established protocol. I'd like to say a very big well done to Madam President. I have been following her on all her social media handles, and I've seen the great strides that have been done as regards collaboration and so many other things concerning the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Mine is just a comment, and actually I'm more involved in the energy space, the oil and gas energy space, and I remember back then I used to tell many of them, "Oh, you guys, come to NSE," and they're like, "Oh, I mean, what does NSE have for us?" But right now, many of them are pursuing me and say, "Oh, I want to get my NSE, I want to get my Korean, I want to become a fellow." So, I mean, I can actually relate to so many things, she's saying, and we have so many engineers out there, especially those in the oil and gas sector. They're not members of NSE. So, in fact, I believe almost half of the engineers, more than half of the engineers in the oil and gas sector didn't really care about the NSE before, but I think the narratives are changing. So I'd like to say very well done to Madam President. And I'm also excited about the involvement of the students, the undergrad students. I mean, it's very important for us to go. That is where it actually starts from. So kudos to Madam President. Thank you very much, ma'am. God bless.
Thank you, my dear Dr. Aladeitan, for your own comments. And I would like to call the next person. Dr. Ikotun.
Good evening, Madam. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
We can hear you. Please go on, sir.
Yes, good evening, Madam President, and
thank you for everything. Branch. Good evening.
This is Oluyole Branch Engineer Dr. Ikotun. Thank you for everything you are doing to uplift our noble society. My question is very brief. I have seen a situation in my branch and some other branches that these young engineers, once we induct them and they are able to lay their hand on their certificate of NLC, here they go, they all flies away. Not all of them come back regularly to the meeting. We did so many things to sit them down, but it doesn't seem to be working. So I wanted to share this with you so you can think of what we could do at the branch level. I'm talking about membership retention. They come, they are excited to be member, and they get inducted, lay their hand on the certificate, and we don't see most of them again. That's one. Also, I'm looking at some possibility from the national level, how we can start to create some incentive for members. For example, with this collaboration opportunity that Madam President is having opportunity to collaborate with so many organizations, if that also could be extended to a strategic platform where we can have from the national a kind of NSC rebate card. I mean, let me take for example, with IET in the UK, of which I'm a member, I have a card called a Tesco card. This Tesco card is issued to me from IET UK, and each time I go to Tesco, Tesco shop is just like ShopRite. Because I'm a member of IET, I entitled 10%, and that was negotiated on behalf of we engineers in the UK by IET. So I'm looking at the same scenario, and that attracts a lot of interest for we members in the UK. That if probably that could be possible, that's something that HQ can look at. Those big malls or airlines, that so that we in our own NLC identity card, they could be embedded into it as a chips, and then we entitled to some discounts in some shopping based on negotiation of national with such service provider. I'm just thinking aloud and see how we can pass this kind of incentive to members, and maybe that will be another way of attracting them and getting them to sit in the branch after induction. I'm thinking of so many things, but I will pause for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ikotun Adiwale. And let me call the next person. Let me call our past president. I think I can see Baba Akintunde online. Engineer Ifedaya Akintunde, FNSE, past president. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Okay, now talk. No, talk.
Yes, sir.
Hello,
Please, sir.
It's a great pleasure to see you. I can say this is the longest time I've been away from a forum of the NSC in all my life. I've been away from active meeting of NSC, and it's not a pleasant situation. So when this opportunity came, I thought I must not miss it. And I thank God I'm not missing it. I thank God in particular for your faith, Madam President. Where we see you enough on the pages of the papers and on the screens. And we are happy about your progress. You are doing well. We know it was only the wrong choice that was made by the NSC some months ago. We know your bad performance that you are doing, you are discharging it in the good. We thank God for your life, and we thank God for the work we are doing. There are many problems. There are all the old problems of the engineers are still available around. The problems look small in nature, but they are big in importance. For example, when you see young engineers graduating and not interested in the practice, but looking for jobs in other companies, other disciplines, in the banks, in the commercial sector, you feel that it's not quite right. Engineers have a special role to play in the country, and the role engineers have to play cannot be played by other people, unfortunately. Another point I like to raise is the treatment of expatriate companies of Nigerians. You are in a company, you are getting on fine. The reluctance to appoint you into sensitive positions is still there. You may be deserving enough to become the mine director of the company. You will not easily get it, even though you deserve it. You may be good enough to be the technical director. It will not make you. It will not make you administrative director or managing director without portfolio and so on. We want our men to fight for critical posts. We want our society to fight for the critical posts. We want the post of directors, technical directors, and so on. And mine directors, rather than mushroom glamorous posts. Now, we thank God that the NSE is what it is today. We thank God for it. We say categorically that the NSE, as it is today, is for the pride of everybody. And we should try to make everybody love it. If you don't love NSE as an engineer, you are not a Nigerian, and you are not an engineer. We should gain, we should make sure that we get the interest screwed into the minds of our young engineers, that they should fight to the highest post in the engineering cadre, and so on. We want to say very reluctantly that our engineers don't respect themselves in town. You see a lawyer in town, you know he's a lawyer. You see a doctor, his appearance gives you his appearance is pleasant enough. You see an engineer, he's happy to come in a crampy sandals and so on. So this is my job. Your job is not only with material, your job is with person as well. You deal with human beings as well. And you should be prepared to act in that position as well.
Right.
Yes.
My president, sir, please, I want to appeal to you to make this brief, sir. We have only 1 hour for everybody to speak.
Okay. 2 minutes more.
Thank you, sir.
I just want to ask a question. More than 30 years ago, the NSE placed a contract for the design of the headquarters office. That project was divided into 3: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 you use every day and you love it. Phase 2 is there standing in Abuja. But phase 3 has not taken off. We just want to find out what is happening. We know it must be connected with funds, and we know that when it comes to funds, it's not. We just want to know politely from Mr. President what she's doing about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thanks so much, Past President Ifeda Akintunde FNSE. Madam President, please, allow me to call 2 other engineers so that I can address all the questions one and for all. And I want to appeal to all our engineers, if you want to ask questions, please make it as brief as possible. I want you to go directly to your questions so we can be able to accommodate as many engineers as possible. We have only 1 hour, and we want as many as engineers that want to interact directly with the president to ask their questions. So please try and make it as short as possible. So the next person I'm going to call is Engineer Bright Unaibu. Engineer Bright, You have 30 seconds. Please just go straight to your question. Try to unmute yourself and go straight to your question.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to commend the administration for the notification. I noticed that there has been several email notifications of the updates of the society. I want to commend their efforts on that. Secondly, I want to speak about the partnerships that have been established with some of these corporate organizations and government institutions. So I want to commend their efforts. And also, I want to state that there should be a follow-up action on the implementations of these things, because I realize that sometimes we have pictorial representations of these partnerships, but the framework for implementation oftentimes are not really felt at the level of the engineers in terms of those that should benefit from these partnerships. So, for example, if there are training opportunities that have been reached by communicating or reaching out to some of these institutions, that is implementation of this training that has been discussed. So, importantly, I want to talk about the mentorship model. I want to suggest, because I noticed that some of the young engineers are not really catching up with the senior engineers, especially from their wealth of experience. You see that some engineers over 40 years experience retire, and the young engineers do not really benefit from this knowledge. So I want to suggest or propose that we have graduate members attached to corporate engineers, as let's say 7 corporate engineers, and we have corporate engineers attached to fellows. And if this can be part of the recommendations for you to qualify for a fellow or to qualify for a higher position, I think this would help us to be more accountable to our members and to ensure that we are able to drive this knowledge and skill across all our
Thank you, Engineer Bright.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Bright. Madam President, please let me call the last person before you answer all the question. And I would like to call on Engineer Shehu Wakili. Engineer Shehu Wakili, please try and make it as short as possible. Engineer Shehu Wakili, just go straight to your question.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Engineer Shehu Wakili from Bauchi branch. Actually, my suggestion is with regard to the minimum entry point of engineers. There was a circular as back as 2018, has been signed by the federal government, but up to now, some state governments, they failed to implement these circulars. And it really has negative impact to the engineers in the state. So I urge the administration to look forward by way of intimidating the state government by writing letters to them to know their statutes with regard to these circulars. I think this will help. And another suggestion is with regard to the title of engineers. Title of engineers, up to now, if you are a book light, you can see the title of barrister, doctor, and whatever. But it's hardly for you to see the title of engineer specified. So you just end up selecting Mr. Hello.
All right, Engineer Shehu, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I just want the administration to take note of these 2 important observations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Engineer Shehu. So, Madam President, you can take over from here, ma'am.
Thank you. First, I must thank everybody who has participated so far. And I'll go straight to the questions that were asked or concerns or comments. I thank Engineer Yetunde Alade for her comments, for her kind words, which will motivate us to do even more. Engineer Ikotun wanted to know how to retain the interest of young engineers, and he suggested something. Incidentally, what Engineer Ikotun suggested is something that has been in practice in NSE for a very long time. As far back as 1998, I was a member of the welfare committee under past President Ajibola. who was an FA member at the time, and we had what we call the welfare package, the welfare. We had a pamphlet published, where the names of companies that were our partners, in welfare matters was published, and we had organizations, we had supply. It was in terms of goods and services, not just goods, but also services. And the ID card that we have, that every one of us carries, allows us to access discounts in a number of places, even now. So we have hotels where we get discounts. We have in 2014, I remember that apart from the ones that we had before, we also brought in Samsung. And so we still have some, but I agree that we need to do a lot more. But I want to tell you that it's already in practice. And as a branch, what each branch had to do and should still do is to, within your own enclave. For instance, you are in Oluyole branch. You have two of you in Ibadan. So you can come together and approach organizations, hotels, manufacturers and other service providers to give us discount. We have Airport Hotel in Lagos. We have John Wood here in Abuja, and lots. I've been to Enugu before, and the branch chairman just called the hotel where I wanted to stay, and many more like that. So if you are not aware, Engineer Okotun, I'm telling you now that you can do within Ibadan, and then the headquarters will do. In fact, once you do it within your state, because headquarters doesn't have any domain or any territory, so you can achieve all of that, and that's definitely one way of engaging the young engineers. But the programs that we have lined up would also encourage them and interest them, and that is the training. Once we start the training, for instance, our plan is to train at least 6,000 engineers within the next 1 year. So imagine that we have started the training. None of them would want to join, because your membership of FNSE will qualify you to access the training and many more things. And then we also have, and that will take me to the mentorship program. We have already started a mentorship program. In fact, there's going to be a workshop very soon on mentorship. And the idea is to pair, just like as was suggested by Engineer Bright, to pair mentees with mentors, the younger engineers with older ones, for knowledge exchange, and career development and all sorts. We are the model. So I'm going to ask Engineer Bright, I'm going to ask the chairman of that committee to get in touch with you and chat from your experience and your knowledge on how to run the mentorship program. Engineer Ife Akintunde, thank you, sir, for the kind words again, for the positive feedback that we have just received from you. You have told us to fight for critical posts. We shall, and it's one of the reasons why we are meeting some of these government officials. We say it at every meeting or every point where we have the opportunity of meeting them, that it is important, how important it is that we have engineers, engineering-based ministries and MDAs and so on. And we'll continue to fight that fight, because it's not new. I quoted from your speech in one of the Nigerian engineers, your write-up in one of the editions of the Nigerian Engineer magazine, as far back as 1985. And you said we're still struggling to get the attention of the government, and we shall continue. We will not relent. I mean, we are an advocacy body anyway, and we shall continue to do our best. Phase 3. Well, I agree with you, and I do know that this project was divided into 3 phases. We are not quite done with phase 2 yet. There's still a lot of work that we are doing here. So we are not quite done, and until we are done completely with this phase, we might not go to the 3rd phase. But of course, that's not to say that we are not thinking about it at all. We are already also thinking about what we will do when the time comes for us to start phase 3. And as part of what we are still doing in phase 2, This office, the office of the president, has just been recently remodeled. And if you come in, those of you who were here in January, you come in here now, you will miss your way. We have remodeled this office completely. Yes, thank you. You may also want to span the entire office and let people see what the office looks like now. So it's a good concern, sir, and we shall get there, I'm sure, very soon. The entry points, yes. We actually set up the council in May at its May meeting. Resolved to set up a committee to pursue what we call the engineers consolidated salary. And we have since set up a committee which was ratified by council at its meeting yesterday. The committee is headed by no less than former head of service of the Federation, Engineer Billy Okeke, FNSE, CFR. And that committee started work, but in its wisdom decided to first look at the entry point of engineers. I understand the fact that even level 9 has not been implemented by many states, and we are still working on a lot of that. We talk to branch chairmen at every opportunity and tell them to engage the HOS in the states, and we keep pursuing and following up as well. But we'll do more, like you have suggested. We'll write again to the HOS and see how far we can take that. But we are looking further now. The committee has suggested that we pursue, again, let me use that word, the possibility, or not just possibility, as a matter of fact, to work towards getting a better entry point than 9. And because we have found out that doctors, midwives, pharmacists, and some other ones enter at level 10, and we are still talking about level 9. So work has started on that. I think we've got the concept notes, which we are sending to the HOS and to the Council of Establishments. So I want to assure you that we are looking seriously at the entry points, at how to ensure that level 9 is implemented by the states that have not, and then to take it to the next level with those who have obeyed the directives. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam President. Please permit me to read 3 questions from our chat room, and maybe I'll pick the rest from people on the floor. But before that, if you have any questions and you might still want to maybe send it directly to Madam President, you can send it to headict@nsc.org.ng. The email is in the chat room, headict@nsc.org.ng. Thank you. Please permit me to read a question from Engineer Emmanuel Ogunleye, FNSE. I said, good evening, ma. Thank you for all you do for the society. Please, what are we doing concerning consolidated salary structure for engineers in Nigeria? What are we doing concerning consolidated salary structure for engineers in Nigeria? So I'll go to the next one, which is from Engineer Sunday Ugochukwu Daniel. Good evening, Madam President. How do we as NSC collaborate with foreign professional bodies to further get recognition as practicing professionals home and abroad? I take that again, ma'am. How do we collaborate with foreign professional bodies to further collaborate to get recognition as practicing professionals home and abroad? So I would like to go on the floor now and call Engineer Ogolo. Engineer Ogolo, please make it as short as possible. We'll appreciate if you can ask your question within 30 seconds. Just go straight to your point, ask your questions, so we can call as many engineers as possible. Thank you, Engineer Ogolo. You have the floor, sir.
Engineer Fine Ogolo, FNSE.
Engineer Fine Ogolo.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam President. I've been struggling to unmute. I've just been allowed. Thank you very much. I want to congratulate Madam President and the ESCO for the giant strides they have taken in just within 6 months. You people are doing very well. You should keep it up. What I want to contribute on is on infrastructural development. Madam President may be aware that over 2 years ago, some of us have been pushing that it's not in the interest of Nigeria for only the eastern corridor of the railways, starting from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, to be on narrow gauge, when the rest of the country is on standard gauge. That initial period made even Nigerian Railway Corporation to redesign. They have a standard gauge design for Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. But somehow or the other, they seem to slow down, waiting for more push. Senate moved the motion, approved the motion last November, saying it should be standard gauge everywhere. The African Free Trade Organization, where we belong to, and all the countries around us are on standard gauge. The the newly awarded coastal road has a railway on standard gauge. The Western Line is on standard gauge. So coming to do anything on narrow gauge is a waste of money for the country. And we will point it out because after 10 years or so, we start going back. So now that the thing is approaching from Port Harcourt, it has passed Aba, is approaching Omuahia now, the rehabilitation. I urge NSE ESCO, Madam President, to try and see the president and see the vice president and push that, please, there should be standard gauge in Nigeria so that our development will be uniform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Ogolo, FNSE. Thank you so much, sir. Ike Mesit Orok, I can see your question in the chat room, so I will advise you just put down your hands. I will still read your question from the chat room. So let me call on Engineer Olatunde Jayesimi, FNSE F9. Engineer Olatunde Jayesimi, FNSE.
Everyone, Madam and the ESCO, well done. What my own contribution is to encourage engineers to go into politics, because most of these issues that are being raised here, if engineers are in politics, they can protect our interests in most of all these areas that we are complaining about. I think if it is possible for NSE, they can even sponsor engineers in politics. I'm not saying that NSE should form a political party, but these days in this country, if you don't belong to them, you cannot get anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Engineer Olatunde Jayesimi. Okay, let's go on. Engineer Aniyi, FNI AE. Engineer Esu Aniyi.
Esu Aniyi.
Please make it as short as possible, sir. Engineer Esu Aniyi, right? Aniyi.
Yes, President. I'm highly impressed by this month, 6 months performance, which you have done. I just want to advocate, if it's possible, as our president is highly experienced in oil and gas, this is the best time for us for modular refinery. It will be unspeakable for this country at this hour, where we have a lot of engineers in oil and gas, and yet we cannot point to a particular refinery working. This is the best opportunity for us to push for modular refinery and let them give us the task and see whether engineers in the country cannot produce this. We can replicate this in all states of our federation, and what we need is just the crude oil to various states, and let various states produce their refined petroleum and other products. I think we should start talking about it now. As this administration meant well for us in Nigeria, but they're looking for professionals to partner with. And I think we can comfort from this angle. And more or less now that we have a president very knowledgeable in this area. This is my contribution. Congratulations, Madam President.
Thank you so much, sir. Madam President, before you address all these questions, let me quickly read Engineer Orok's message from media chats. Engineer Orok Ike message said, what policy measures have we been put in place by FNSE to combat the alarming trend of quackery and enforce the professional standard and regulations with engineering profession? The second and third question, I think, is still centered on still around quackery. Is asking about what role can FNSE play in collaborating with regulatory bodies, that's like OREN, to address these critical issues. The third question is also on the same thing, like how can FNSE ensure that effective and efficient engineering practice. So it's still on effective engineering practice. So you can answer all the questions now. Thank you, ma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Yes, so the first question was on consolidated salary structure for engineers, and I've addressed that. We have started work already. We have set up a very credible committee to work on that, and so that has been dealt with. The next one, and that was from Engineer Emmanuel Ogunleye. Engineer Sunday Ogochukwu talked about collaboration with foreign professional bodies. Just recently, something came up, and I think it was one of the branches that suggested this, and asked me a question about what we were doing about this collaboration with foreign professional bodies. And my first question was that, my first response was that we as FNSE are members of the West African Engineering Organization, Federation of Engineering Organization, WAFIO. We are a member of the FNEO, Federation of African Engineering Organizations, and of course we are a member of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. All this membership of all these bodies puts us in a good position to collaborate with foreign professionals. And apart from that, we also have some personal relationships with some of these bodies. Ghana Institution of Engineers, for instance, apart from the fact that we are both members, we also have a very good relationship with them. We exchange ideas from time to time, and we have a platform where we share knowledge. And the same goes with many other foreign professional bodies. As a matter of fact, just recently, out here, we mounted the flags of these bodies that I just mentioned. Because at some point we had only the flag of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and that of Nigeria. But now, if you come here now, you see the flags for people to know that we do have a relationship with them and we are collaborating with all of them. But we are also talking about having accords. You know, at the last meeting that we have of the WAFIO in Sierra Leone last month, we discussed the possibility of having what we call the African Accord, where we can improve the mobility of engineers within Africa, within West Africa first, of course, and then within Africa. So I assure you that work is ongoing on that. Engineer Fine Ogolo, FNSE, former ES, thank you for the commendation. Thank you for the kind words. Again, that's a fuel for more work, because the result for hard work is more work. I mean, the reward for hard work is more work. So we shall put in more work, my Expo and I. And we touched on the matter of infrastructural development and how we have to seriously look at it. We have the infrastructure scorecard, which we produced for the first time in 2015, and we have renewed every other year. The committee is at work now, looking at not just at every area of infrastructure in Nigeria and putting up a report which we shall be presenting to Mr. President very soon. Your suggestion on pushing for standard gauge for uniformity of infrastructure is well noted. We shall take up that discussion with the appropriate quarters and ensure that whenever we have the opportunity, we'll speak about it in public and engage government and other stakeholders to ensure that the right thing is done. Engineer Jai Simi has suggested that engineers go into politics. We say this all the time. And FNSE, for those who don't know, FNSE actually sponsors engineers. At the last election and many elections before that, once we have engineers who qualify, who pass or who win the primaries, FNSE invests in their campaign. We've been doing that since 2014, and this is to ensure that we contribute, because they say you put your money where your mouth is, and when you don't contribute during the campaign, you cannot say anything when you have won the elections. So, but again, it's important that we also really join politics, and then it's also important that when we join politics, when we eventually join politics, we remember the fact that we are engineers. We have a lot of engineers who have joined politics and forgotten the engineering. As a matter of fact, these people are the ones that are supposed to pave the way and open doors for us. Somebody asked me a question recently, and he asked me why we have not seen the president of Nigeria. I told him that we are making moves. And I also know that the MBA had its conference last year in Abuja, and the president attended the conference. It was not done by the president of NBA. It was the lawyers who are in the corridors of power that brought the president to their conference. We need our own engineers, those of us who are in the corridors of power, either as politicians or appointees or technocrats. So be more, can I use the word patriotic towards NSC? Realize the fact that unless we have the opportunity of engaging with those people, we might not be able to get the results that we need. And then we may not be able to really contribute to national development as we should. So we need our engineers who have the opportunity, who have the ears of the government to please ensure that they open the door for us to reach them. Engineer S.O. Aniyi, I call him Aniyi Kaye. Thank you very much for contributing today. You have charged us with you have given us a charge of engaging government on the need for modular refineries, and we shall do that. Last week, I met the Minister of State Oil and Minister of State Gas, and I'm already looking at how the Exco and I can see them and table some of these matters before them. So I assure you that we shall heed your advice and do the needful. Engineer FNSE, how are you, sir? The alarming trend of quackery, is the job of all of us, I would say. We have the Engineering Regulation and Monitoring Committee, ERM. We have the Failure Investigation, Prevention and Analysis Committee. And these two committees are working towards eliminating, and if not possible, at least reducing to a barest minimum the issue of quackery. But I said it's a job for all of us because you have to identify them. I'm glad that you, as an engineer, would know how to determine, rather, whether somebody is an engineer or not. So if everybody in his own corner, you see a project going on, and you report whatever you see, if you're sure, and then we take it up, then we can solve this problem. Together, we can. And of course, in terms of collaboration with Korean, we're already doing that. We are working with Korean. We have LTCs, State Technical Committees of Korean, that are chaired by NSE members. And that's a collaboration, a big one to stem the tide of quackery and ensure that we get only professionals to do the job of professionals. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam President. Let me call the next set of engineers. I would like to start by calling on one of our elders who celebrated his 94th birthday last week. We usually call him most valuable 94, most valuable engineer from PH. But please, I would like you to please go straight to the point. Let me call on Professor Yupele Beredugo, FNSE, FAEng. Prof, sir.
Thank you very much. I
yes,
have
sir.
two simple
Please,
questions.
you have just only 45 seconds, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's why I have only two simple questions. One is, can Madam President tell us about the progress of reorganizing divisions within the Nigerian Society of Engineers? Secondly, many of us are confused about Nigerian Institution of Electronic Engineers and the Nigerian Institute of Electronic Engineers. Can you tell us the status of these two organizations? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Let me call on the next person. Engineer Ajiri Ogedengbe. Engineer Ajiri Ogedengbe, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? 30 seconds. Engineer Ajiri Ogedengbe, are you there? Okay, if he's not ready.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
My president, I was delighted one of the days we were paid a courtesy call to step flat. I'm a deputy member of SP Nigeria Council, and I was surprised that NSC president were just ahead of us after their visit, and we came in, and I want to also see that of handshake with the oil and gas sector, which also help the society in great light, because hitherto that aspect has been sort of kept in the dark. So I want to commend the president, and let us also pursue. Anytime there's opportunity for us to be with them, we'll have activities where we're invited. We try our most as possible to be available to confirm. In that way, you encourage the support and desired favor from them. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Engineer Ogedengbe. Let me call on Timothy Yangiado. Engineer Timothy, can you unmute yourself and go straight to the point? Please make it as brief as possible. Engineer Timothy, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Madam.
Oh, okay. Victor, please get someone else to speak while he sorts out this.
Yeah, I was about Engineer Abdurrahman Musa. Engineer Abdurrahman Musa.
All the effort you have to see that NSC is appreciate the fact that you have done, and then the evidence is very clear. Much should be done in oil and gas because number one is more of environmental engineering.
Sorry, hold on, Engineer Musa. Let Engineer Timothy round up. Engineer Timothy, we are waiting for you. You can please round up, sir. Are you through, sir, with your question, Engineer Timothy? Okay, all right. Engineer Abdurrahman Musa, please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. My name is Engineer Abdurrahman Musa from Kaduna branch. Good evening, Madam Chairman. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to interact with you. This is the second edition of it. We hope this session will keep on to really be interacting with the Nigerian engineers. Mine is a comment, a concern regarding practicing license and practicing seal that Korea needs to give annually. The issue is it's really giving us hitches that you see that because it is customized and a validity period is written on it, that it is expiring by the end of each year, 31st December. And it is practically impossible for you to now have another one as early as January the preceding year, sorry. So the issue now is I want to appeal to Madam Chairman if she can, in her collaboration with the current, to please adjust the expiry date to, let's say, February or March of the succeeding year, because it is practically impossible to have it. Because you see that, especially us that practice with the regulatory body, you see that you are having an expired seal, and it is impossible for you to now have it, even though you have paid as the first within the very first week of the next January. It is impossible for you to have it until maybe February, March. So this is my concern that I want to raise.
Thank you, Engineer Musa. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let me call on the next person, Engineer John Maibugu. You tell us your name and your branch, and you go straight to your question. Engineer John.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Please go straight to your question after telling us your branch.
My name is Engineer John Titus Maibugu from Gombe branch.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. President, I can see the laudable effort you've been putting with the council. I want to make an observation, particularly during the annual AGM. I want to suggest if the committee can work more so that we'll have a more seamless and organized registration process than the usual chaotic environment we usually create at the scene. I think that will help a lot. Thank you very much. I wish you the best.
Thank you, Engineer John. Engineer James Akale. Please tell us your name, your branch, and then go straight to your question. 30 seconds. Engineer James.
Good evening, Madam President. I'm Engineer James Akale from Lokoja branch. Madam, I must come to you. If I should use the word Sanude Aiki. My question goes like this. I really was glad to hear your response on mentorship, but having worked in the Niger Delta now for over 22 years, I came to realize that most industries, companies, construction companies in this region do not accommodate IT students, do not accommodate corpers. You know, there are projects running in billions of naira within this region every year with the local content board, with industries, Mobile, Shell, just name them. But you never visit these areas and even see current engineers, or you see IT students, or you see corpers, and we're talking about mentorship. That is where we must start. The future of the profession will depend on every new graduate and every industrial training student that we put forward. And I'm saying this because I belong to a place where no IT are accommodated, no corpus are accommodated. And we have universities that are, they operate within these areas. So it's really necessary that NSE get to be involved with these jobs, joint ventures, OMLs, these ordinary mining license all over the Niger Delta. You cannot go there and see students attached to engineers or attached to project to learn. That is where I want NSE to wake up so that these younger generations will look up to us. That is my contribution and my question.
Thank you, sir. Engineer James, thank you so much. Maybe I shall allow Madam President to address all these questions before we go on. Madam President, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I'm going to start with Engineer Rupele Berejugo, FNSE. Congratulations again, sir, on your 94th birthday. And I've told you many times that I want to be like you when I grow up. I still want to. Because at your age, you are still very, very active, not just active physically, but also very active mentally. And you still do your best to guide us, to mentor us, and to ensure that everything is fine. Thank you very much, sir, for all that you do. Now, you asked what we are doing about reorganizing the divisions. We have already, the EXCO has already taken a memo to council and it was approved on harmonization of divisions. We haven't quite fashioned out exactly how to go about it. But I want to tell you that yesterday at council, the divisions came up and said they don't want to be harmonized. Well, what we have told them is that harmonization is not something that can be determined by those who need to be harmonized, so to speak. It's a collective decision of the society. Divisions or institutions are products of the society of NSE, and all we can do now is to set up a committee, which we have agreed to do, which council has directed EXCO to form, and for them to look at it, sit down, and call for maybe a memoranda from members, call for inputs from members, and see on suggestions on how to reorganize the divisions. We have about 26 now. Not up to half of them are active, and there's a lot of work to be done to ensure that the divisions maintain the objectives for which they were formed. And because the professional development of members is what divisions should be really looking at. But we have a lot of situations on our hands where some divisions are not quite following that. And we must really look at the organization. We are working on it. It's something that has come up. It has been approved by council, but the modalities have not been agreed upon. But I tell you, sir, that it's a work in progress. The difference, you want to know the difference between the NIEEE institute and institution. The institute is not a division of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. The institution is what is a division of Nigerian Society of Engineers. So we have the Nigerian Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, a division of NSE, and we have the institute, which is not a division of NSE. What caused the confusion is that some people who felt the need to start the institute, started the institute, but assumed the fact that every member of the Nigerian Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers would be a member of NIEEE, and the institute. So there's a big difference between the two, sir. One is ours, the other one is not a division of NSE, and that's just what I can say. We still have our institution, which is a division of NSE, intact. Engineer Jiri Ogedegbe, thank you, sir, for all that you said. There's really nothing to say other than to thank you. And then I didn't quite get Engineer Timothy, but Engineer Abdurrahman Musa talked about continuity of sessions. Of course, we shall do our best to continue. Inshallah, we will continue. Practicing license and well, as an engineer, please start. Let me use the example of NSC. On 30th of June every year, your membership expires. We start a new financial year starts on July 1, and that means you have to pay again on July 1 every year. So it's a law, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. There are regulations that have been fixed for many years, and so with current, your practicing license is from January 1 to December 31. So asking current to extend or adjust to February or March is asking current, virtually asking current to change its act. So my suggestion to you is this: your license expires on December 31. On January 1, pay your practicing license and apply for your seal. I'm sure that within 1 week, you will be able to receive both. I assure you. And if you have any issues, just let us know. We will also, on our part, engage current. Be sure that our members are not shortchanged in terms of paying for 1 year and receiving the seal and practicing license for use in only 10 or 11 months. Engineer John Megugu wants to know whether we are planning, wants us to plan a better, have a better, an AGM where there will be a better registration process. We are working very hard towards that. For those of you who have not registered for the conference, I call on you to please register. The registration portal this year is seamless. It's much easier than before, and it doesn't take you more than 2 minutes to register. And again, the problems that we have during one of the things that cause this registration process, problems with registration process at conference, is the fact that members do not register on time. We have started, the registration portal was opened on June 4. And as at yet, today, only 191 people had registered. But by September, October, people will start registering and rushing. And then during the conference, some people want to come and start registering. If everybody could just register on time, number one, it will help us to plan. We have a strategic partner that wants to do conference bags for us. We really cannot say how many bags we are going to make. So we now say, okay, last year, how many bags did we make? We made a total of about 5,000 bags. But that was because we made 3,000 in the beginning and we had to rush to do more when members started registering. We can't do that now that we have Total Energies and an organization that is a lot more organized, partnering with us on conference bags. So if you don't register early by the end of August, so for instance, if you don't have a good number, then we could also still have problems, not only with registration, but with a lot of other components of the conference. So I want to urge everybody, please register early for the conference. Let us plan so we can plan. We know how expensive things are now, so we don't want to make bags and not have members check them up. We don't want to pay for a lot of other things and then have a less number. And we don't want to pay for 1,000 people and then have 5,000 people come to the conference and spoil the entire planning and organization and everything for us. So please, it is very important that you register for the conference. And then the last one was Engineer James Akale from Lokoja. Yes, internship is one matter that we have discussed extensively in every organization that we have been to. I understand what you are saying, and it's one of the reasons that I've been going around to see some of them. We're in NLNG in May, in Bonny, and we deliberately asked to see the interns. And I must agree with you that they don't really have interns. But I wouldn't say that they don't have at all, but they don't have as many as they should have. Because I have people I know people who are there, you know. And then in Seplat, I have a picture that I took with the interns. I saw them by myself. But then Seplat is a Nigerian company, you know. So some of these engagements and collaborations, like you have said, you have talked about the collaboration. Some of these things are things that this is one of the reasons that we feel that we must continually engage these organizations and be sure that they change their ways and help us to train the upcoming engineers and make Nigeria better. Thank you. Moderator, please.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Madam President. Let me call on the next set of engineers. Engineer Adekunle Olaoye. Engineer Adekunle Olaoye, FNSE. Please tell us your branch and go straight to your question. Make it as short as possible. Engineer Adekunle Olaoye. And while we're waiting for Engineer Adekunle Olaoye, if you have any question, please send it to the email address dropped in the media chat, headict@nsc.org.ng. This is already 8:30, and we still have so many engineers that want to ask questions. So please just send your questions to headict@nsc.org.ng. I want to assure you that Madam President will answer all your questions, and you will get your reply via email. So, Engineer Adekunle Olaoye, okay, maybe I should call on the next person. Engineer Oludele Alawiye. Engineer Oludele Alawiye, just tell us your branch and go straight to your question. 30 seconds. So we can quickly round up this edition of Presidential Media Chat. Okay, I think it's also not there. Okay, Engineer Victor Oguntala, FNSE. Engineer Victor Oguntala, FNSE. Okay. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, what of Prof. Ajav? Prof. Ajav, can you unmute yourself, sir? And ask your questions within 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Prof.
Not
Ajav.
just I am on. Thank you, madam.
Go ahead, sir. Thank you, Prof.
I'm on as well. So who will continue?
Yes, I'm on.
Prof, let's hear from Prof first. Prof first,
okay,
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyway. Okay. Madam President, in the first media chat, I advise that you give an outline of your expenses, your income and your expenses. We didn't hear it today. Then secondly, the concept of the conference is becoming a burden, particularly to junior ones and even senior ones. You have Korean, you have NSC, then you have your own institution too in 1 year. And many of them are following each other. Maybe something can be said on that. And thirdly, I delivered the inaugural lecture. I sent the invitation to NSC. I didn't hear any response from them. And I acknowledged them openly during my inaugural lecture. I think such members should be encouraged when they have such a thing. Inaugural lectures are just once in a lifetime. And it would have been nice. But I publicly acknowledge NSC anyway. But I felt left alone. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Okay, go ahead, sir.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
Sir, please make it as short as possible. My past chairman, thank you, sir.
Yes,
Mr.
Our President, we thank you for the work being done. We trust that God will continue to help you. I just have three things. One, is there any update on this issue of National Building Code?
that some states are already domesticating. What is the position of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in that regard? Then secondly, the issue of the enlarged current NSE ERM. I hope this team has not gone down. What is the current situation? Because I know some states it has been inaugurated in some states, while nothing is being heard in some other states. And I believe that we need this enlarged current ERM for engineering, regulatory, and monitoring. And then thirdly and lastly, Mark, what is happening between NSE and current as regards examination? We had some time that current was going to do a last batch, and then the whole thing will revert to NSE. But as it is now, current is carrying on with examination to, of course, to admit members, like at least registered members in that regard. Is there any collaboration to push it to one, either or the two, both NSE and current will continue to do the exams? These are my questions. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Olaoye. Once again, I want to inform all other engineers that want to ask questions. You can send your questions to headict@nsc.org.ng so that you get your response via email within 7 days. So I would like to call on Madam President to address the two questions raised so far so that we can call it a day. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So let me start with Professor Ajab. I must start by apologizing, sir, Prof, that we were not represented at your inaugural lecture. It's a serious oversight, and I do take responsibility. It's something that I take very seriously. As a matter of fact, on 4th of July, I think that was last week, I sent somebody to represent me at the inaugural lecture delivered by Engineer Professor Samson Ojoawu in Ogbomoso, and many other ones like that. So I do apologize for that oversight. And congratulations, sir, on your inaugural lecture. The matter of conferences, well, it's something that has come to our mind. We have had this discussion at the EXCO and as to how we can harmonize all these conferences and probably have just 1 week, an engineering week, in a year, where we discuss every matter. We have the AGM, we have divisions, having their own sessions, and then everything can be done within 1 week. It's one of the talks that we're having, and I assure you that we'll keep it in view and keep the matter in sight properly. Income and expenditure. The media chat is not a forum for that, sir. It's a very sensitive matter where we can't go to the media and start talking about income and expenditure. That's why we have our AGM. That's why we have our council. At our council yesterday, the financial statement was discussed, and it was even sent ahead to branch chairman, division chairman, and all other council members for them to see. So if you have any concerns or any questions, please approach your branch chairman or division chairman, and they will be able to give you information regarding income and expenditure. Engineer Olaoye, you asked about the building code. We have the NICE and NICE are the two divisions that are responsible for that, and we have charged them with. So we have asked them to come up with our position on that. I'm sure it's something that is going to come up soon. They are promised to give the position. On the FCC, well, we don't have that much control on some of the states. But I remember that I was a member of the Foreign Council representing Southwest geopolitical zone. And in my 3 years as a council member, we only inaugurated Ekiti and Ogun states, and Lagos State, and the other ones we could not. So, and I'm not sure that they still have been inaugurated. So it's the political will of the governors. But I also know that at some point, Korean decided that it will just inaugurate those STCs with or without the input of the governors, because essentially it's all for collaboration and ensuring that every stakeholder is involved. And then on the NSC Korean exam, we have discussed this matter fact very seriously and extensively in council. And NSC and Korean, we are working on it on a particular template where it will be we'll have a one-stop shop. You can register for NSC, do NSC exam and Korean exam at the same time, and then we are able to register with both, just using one platform. We are working on that, and we are hoping that by October we'll be able to conclude all of that. And in the meantime, NSC is continuing with its exam, and Korean is not doing exam for now. They are working on that template that I've just told you about. Thank you. I wish you could have this. I mean, I wish we could just continue, but it's to 9 now. Much as I love to continue this interaction, I'm sure that many of us are also tired, and it would be nice to call it a day, if you wish, please, and then we can keep our energy for the next one. But I'll allow the moderator to call on the DP for closing remarks. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Madam President, for providing us adequate answers to all these questions raised by our members. Without wasting much of our time, I would like to call on our amiable Deputy President for closing remark, Engineer Ali Rabiu, FNSE, FAENG, MFR. My Deputy President, sir, you have the floor for closing remarks.
Thank you very much, our moderator, for this excellent work. Let me also appreciate Madam President for this sterling performance. In fact, I get scared whether the shoes Madam President is going to leave behind will really be my size. But I hope that I can cope. Let me appreciate everyone who is here. The last time I checked, I saw over 300 and about 25 participants. And this shows that there's a lot of awareness on the part of our members. In spite of the very short notice, the decision to hold this session actually was taken on Wednesday, just before close of business. And it's, gladdening that over 325 people or participants attended this session. We appreciate you. And indeed, I want to say that the rebirth agenda is in top gear. I want to thank everyone for supporting the administration of Madam President, and to say that together we can move engineering to the next level. On this note, I want to again thank you very much and wish that we all will have a very wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our Deputy President, for that wonderful closing remark. Let me also appreciate Madam President for taking her time to engage us today. Seriously, your leadership continues to inspire us as we work together to advance the mission of Nigerian Society of Engineers. We appreciate you. And to our esteemed members, I want to say thank you for your active participation. Thank you for insightful questions. And I want to urge you that you should let us continue to collaborate, innovate as we strive towards the growth, empowerment, and advancement of engineering in Nigeria. Until next time, I want you to stay safe and keep engineering excellence alive. Thank you so much, and God bless you. And we have to end this session with closing prayer, just like we started with closing prayer. So we are going to use the second stanza of our national anthem as closing prayer. So we go.